Ever feel like a big construction dispute is just a legal maze? It's complicated, it's confusing, and it's easy to get lost. But what if we could turn that maze into a simple map? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to follow the story of one contractor step by step through their entire journey. Let's jump right in. Okay, I want you to put yourself in the contractor's shoes for a minute. You've just landed a huge government contract to build a brand new hospital block. It's a 2-year job, a big deal. Everything's going great, you're on schedule, the structure's coming up, things are looking good, right? And then, bam! 12 months in, right at the halfway point, you get an official instruction. The client has changed their mind. They don't just want what was originally planned, they want more. And it's not a small change. We're talking about something that's going to flip the whole project on its head. And right here, this is where our contractor's story really kicks off. The engineer in charge, using their authority under Clause 12 of the contract, tells the contractor to add a whole new ICU floor and completely change the building's core structural system. Yeah, this isn't just moving a wall or changing a paint color. This is a massive fundamental deviation from the plan.
So, let's get our bearings real quick. The project is a hospital. The rulebook is the CPWD's General Conditions of Contract, and the key clauses we need to watch are 5, 12, and 25. They cover time, scope changes, and disputes. And the big trigger, that unexpected new ICU floor. This is the setup for everything that follows.
So you're the contractor, and this huge change just landed in your lap. What's your first move? Well, the smartest move isn't to argue. It's not to fight. It's all about procedure. You have to start building your case by carefully documenting everything. This whole phase is about laying the proper groundwork.
And that groundwork starts with 2 things you have to do immediately. First, you record this new instruction in the official site hindrance register. Think of it as the project's official logbook for anything that causes a delay. Second, you fire off a formal notice to the engineer in charge, putting it in writing that this change is going to cause problems.
Now, the language here is really interesting. The letter is polite, but it's also very firm. It specifically points to Clause 5, the rule about delays, and makes it clear this isn't the contractor's fault. This isn't about picking a fight. It's about creating what's called contemporaneous evidence, a paper trail, built in the moment that will be absolutely priceless down the line.
Okay, so the groundwork is laid. Now, after a few months of figuring out just how big an impact these changes will have, the contractor is ready to move from just sending notifications to filing a formal claim. And this, right here, is the turning point. This is where a simple project issue officially becomes a legal dispute.
The claim has 2 main parts. First, they need more time, an extension of time, or EOT. They calculate they'll need an extra 6 months to get this new work done. Second, and this is the big one, money. They need cost compensation for the new materials and labor, sure, but also for the overheads of just being on site for an extra 6 months. And notice, every part of this claim is backed by a specific contract clause.
The engineer in charge looks at the claim and comes back with a formal decision. And this is where you can really see the conflict taking shape. The contractor wanted 6 months. They only get 4. They wanted full compensation. They get some, but look at this. The claim for overheads, flat out rejected. That gap between what was asked for and what was given, that's where the real fight is.
And this is so important. That formal written decision from the engineer in charge, that's the dispute trigger. It's not just a piece of paper. It's the official starting gun that confirms there is a formal disagreement. And because that trigger has been pulled, the contractor can now start the official dispute resolution process outlined in Clause 25.
Now, the first step on this formal path isn't a dramatic courtroom battle. It's a process called conciliation. You can think of it as a mandatory, structured negotiation. It's designed to help both sides find a settlement before things escalate any further. Let's look at this like a ladder to see where we are. We've had the decision from the engineer in charge. Now there's an optional step, but the first required formal stage is right here, conciliation. It's a non-negotiable rung on the ladder you have to climb before you can even think about that final step, arbitration.
And once again, it's all about procedure. The contractor can't just pick up the phone and say, "Hey, let's conciliate." Nope. They have to formally refer the dispute using a very specific form, Appendix 17. Every single step is laid out in the contract, and you have to follow the roadmap exactly. And you know what? The clock is ticking. This whole process is on a strict timeline. The conciliator has just 45 days to try and broker a deal. They can get a 15-day extension if everyone agrees, but that's it. After 60 days, if there's no settlement, the process is over. That pressure is real, and it's meant to push both sides to find some middle ground.
So, this brings our contractor to a huge fork in the road. If conciliation works, the story ends right here with a settlement. But if it fails, or if they just run out of time, the dispute moves up to the final, binding stage of the entire process: arbitration.
So, the big question is, after all this procedure, after weeks of tense negotiations with the conciliator, what do you think happened? Did our contractor manage to settle it? Did they find that middle ground and avoid one last costly fight?
Okay, so there are really only two ways this chapter can end. Path 1, success. Both sides signed a formal settlement agreement, the dispute is officially over, and everyone can finally move on. But Path 2, failure. If they can't agree, the only road forward leads directly to arbitration, where an independent third party will make the final call.
And if conciliation does fail, the journey still isn't over. The contractor's next move is to send, you guessed it, another formal notice, this time using Appendix 18. This letter officially kicks off the arbitration by asking for an arbitrator to be appointed. The paperwork marathon just keeps on going. So we followed this whole winding story. Let's zoom out now and look at the entire process as one clear, simple map. This is your takeaway guide to the journey we've just been on. Here it is, all in one place. You see how it all flows? It starts with that simple hindrance notice under Clause 5. That leads to a formal claim for time and money. The EIC's decision on that claim is the trigger. From there, you go to formal conciliation using Appendix 17. And if that doesn't work, you invoke arbitration with Appendix 18. It's a clear, step-by-step path. And that's really the big takeaway here. It looks complicated, right? All these clauses, all these forms, but it's not chaos. It's actually one single linear process. The secret to navigating it isn't knowing everything at once. It's simply knowing what the very next step is and having the paperwork to back it up. Which brings me to one final thought for you. We saw this entire massive dispute start with one simple little notice of hindrance. In any conflict, that very first document, that first piece of your paper trail is often the most powerful one. So the question I want to leave you with is this. On your project, right now, do you know what that first document would be?